Alex glanced around the bustling spaceport of Nova Prime, his eyes drinking in the chaos. Ships of every shape and size filled the docking bays, their hulls glittering under the artificial sun. Merchants shouted, aliens haggled, and somewhere in the distance, the low hum of a departing freighter echoed like a heartbeat. He loved this kind of place, the energy, the unpredictability. It reminded him that the universe was alive, that adventure was never far away. He shifted his bag onto his shoulder, careful not to step on the rolling luggage bots zooming past him. That was when he saw her standing near a kiosk that sold holographic star maps, Lyra. Alex didn't know much about her yet, except that she had an air of calm confidence that made him curious. She was busy examining a display of interstellar routes, her brows furrowed in concentration. Alex, who thrived on impulse, felt a sudden, daring idea spark in his mind. He walked up with a grin. "Hey," he said casually, leaning slightly against the counter. "First time on Nova Prime?" Lyra looked up, her amber eyes assessing him. There was nothing intimidating about her, yet something about her gaze made Alex hesitate just a fraction. "No," she said smoothly. "But it's been a while since I've been here. Things change fast." Alex smiled, a mischievous glint in his eyes. "I can show you around. Give you the Nova Prime tour, dangerous streets, crazy merchants, and the best space tacos this side of the galaxy." Lyra raised an eyebrow, clearly entertained but keeping her composure. "I doubt the tacos are worth the trouble." "Only one way to find out," Alex replied, shrugging. Then, with a reckless grin, he leaned closer and said, "Or, how about we skip all that and marry on our very first date?" The words hung in the air like a comet streaking across the sky. Lyra blinked, then laughed, a soft, melodic sound that made Alex's chest tighten a little. "I'll hold you to that promise," she said, her smile both teasing and strangely serious. Alex froze for a moment. He hadn't expected her to take it so lightly, or to play along, but her response made the universe feel smaller, like the entire spaceport was just background noise to this brief, perfect moment. "All right," he said, raising his hands in mock surrender. "Deal. First date. First promise. Marriage. Done." She laughed again, shaking her head. "You're insane, and yet irresistible," Alex replied. He caught the flicker of amusement in her eyes, and he knew right then that their encounter wouldn't be ordinary. The moment was broken by a sudden commotion. A group of alien merchants shouted, scattering crates of glowing minerals across the floor. Sparks flew, and Alex instinctively grabbed Lyra's arm to pull her back. They landed in a crouch behind a stack of cargo containers. "Careful," Alex said, adrenaline pumping. "Nova Prime isn't just about star maps and tacos." Lyra's calm exterior didn't falter. "I can handle myself," she replied, though a hint of excitement flashed across her face. "Looks like your tour might be more thrilling than I thought." The commotion settled, and Alex and Lyra stood up. They exchanged a glance, the kind that said, "We just survived that together." In that instant, Alex realized something. Maybe this first date wasn't about romance alone. Maybe it was the beginning of something bigger, something unpredictable. They decided to sit at a small cafe overlooking the docking bay. The smell of roasted spices and fried alien delicacies filled the air, making Alex's stomach rumble. He ordered a plate of star tacos spicy enough to make a grown man sweat, and offered one to Lyra. She took it cautiously, her eyes curious. "So," Alex began, leaning back in his chair, "you're really going to hold me to that marriage thing?" Lyra smirked, taking a bite. "I said I would. Doesn't mean I'll do it right away. But I like seeing if people are serious when they make wild promises." Alex laughed. "Good. I like a challenge. For the next hour." They talked. Not just small talk, though, there was plenty of that, but stories of distant planets, personal adventures, and near misses in the vastness of space. Alex found himself drawn to her intelligence, her wit, and the subtle way she seemed to notice everything without trying. Lyra, in turn, appreciated Alex's fearlessness, his willingness to step into danger without hesitation, and the spark of humor that never left his eyes. By the time the sun on Nova Prime began to set artificial, yes, but breathtaking nonetheless, the cafe was nearly empty. The sky outside was streaked with purples and blues, a perfect backdrop to the growing connection between them. Alex leaned forward, resting his elbows on the table. "You know," he said quietly, "I didn't expect this date to be, well, this." Lyra tilted her head, curious. "This? Interesting?" "Yes," Alex said. "Exciting. Strange. Kind of like finding something in space you weren't even looking for." Lyra smiled, a soft, genuine expression that made Alex's heart skip. "I know the feeling," she said. "Though I usually don't trust first dates with promises of marriage." "Good thing I'm not usual," Alex replied, grinning. Suddenly, the cafe's lights flickered. A low alarm echoed through the docking bay. Outside, Alex could see shadows moving fast, precise, and definitely not friendly. The outer gates of the spaceport were under attack. Alex and Lyra froze for a moment, then instinct kicked in. Alex grabbed her hand. "Time to move," he said. "And I mean, really move." They sprinted toward the nearest docking bay, dodging startled civilians and overturned carts. Sparks flew from a damaged power conduit as alien raiders stormed the area, weapons flashing. Alex and Lyra ducked behind a cargo crate, catching their breath. "You handle yourself well," Lyra said, her voice steady even as the chaos raged. "You're not bad yourself," Alex replied, smirking despite the tension. "Guess we're a good team already. Don't get too confident," Lyra warned. "The night's just getting started." They exchanged a glance, a silent acknowledgement of the bond forming between them. The playful promise of marriage, said in jest hours earlier, now felt strangely significant, not because of the words themselves, but because it had brought them together in a universe full of uncertainty. The attack ended as suddenly as it had begun, the raiders retreating into the black void of space. Nova Prime's security drones hovered in the air, scanning for survivors and damage. Alex and Lyra emerged from their hiding spot, adrenaline still coursing through their veins. Alex looked at her, half smiling, half exhausted. "Well," he said, "if surviving the first date on a dangerous spaceport doesn't count as a relationship milestone, I don't know what does." Lyra chuckled. "I suppose surviving together is a decent start." They walked toward a quieter part of the port, the noise of the chaos fading behind them. Alex felt a strange warmth in his chest, a mixture of excitement, relief, and something else he wasn't ready to name. Lyra's presence was grounding, like a beacon in the vast, unpredictable galaxy. As they reached a small observation deck overlooking the stars, Alex leaned against the railing. "So," he said, grinning at her, "about that promise." Lyra smiled back, her eyes reflecting the glittering lights of distant ships. "I'll hold you to it," she said again, echoing her words from earlier. But this time, it sounded less like a joke and more like a challenge. Alex laughed, feeling a thrill run through him. The universe was dangerous, full of unexpected twists and threats. But somehow, with Lyra by his side, it felt like they could face anything together. For the first time in a long while, Alex felt certain of something. Not the stars, not the chaos, not the unpredictable dangers of Nova Prime, but her. And maybe, just maybe, the promise wasn't as reckless as it sounded. As the artificial sun dipped below the horizon and the first stars blinked to life, Alex realized that this was only the beginning. A bold tease had turned into a spark. And sparks, as everyone knew, could ignite the fiercest of fires, and somewhere in the shadows of the port, destiny waited, ready to test just how far two people would go for a promise made on a first date. The stars above Nova Prime glimmered like scattered diamonds as Alex and Lyra made their way through the quieter streets of the spaceport. The chaos of the earlier attack had faded, replaced by the hum of maintenance drones and the soft chatter of merchants repairing their damaged stalls. Yet, the lingering tension in the air reminded them that danger was never far away. Alex adjusted the strap of his bag and looked at Lyra. "So," he said, trying to sound casual. "First date, first promise, first attack. Not bad for a start, right?" Lyra rolled her eyes but smiled. "You seem to attract trouble wherever you go," she said, her tone amused, but not unkind. "I should have guessed it when you made that ridiculous marriage joke." Alex grinned. "Hey, a little danger keeps things interesting." Their laughter was interrupted by a sudden alarm, a deep, echoing warning that made their stomachs tighten. Overhead, a transport shuttle screeched as it attempted a rapid landing. The comm system crackled, a voice calling out in urgency. "Emergency. All personnel report to Docking Bay 7 immediately. Unidentified cargo ship detected. Threat level high." Alex and Lyra exchanged a glance. They didn't need words. Instinct told them this wasn't a false alarm. Without hesitation, they sprinted toward Docking Bay 7, weaving through a maze of crates and busy workers. When they arrived, the scene was chaotic. Security drones hovered above, scanning the area, and a crowd of pilots and merchants had gathered near a sleek, dark cargo ship that had just landed. Its hull was marked with alien symbols that Alex didn't recognize, sharp, jagged lines glowing faintly blue. "This doesn't look good," Lyra muttered, stepping closer to the ship. Before Alex could reply, a group of armored figures emerged from the ship. They were tall, their suits black and reflective, and their faces hidden behind visors. Each carried a weapon that glimmered ominously in the port lights. Alex felt a jolt of adrenaline. "They're not here to shop for souvenirs," he said under his breath. The leader of the group stepped forward, raising a hand. His voice, amplified by the helmet, echoed across the bay. "We are here for the artifact. Hand it over. And no one gets hurt." Lyra's eyes widened slightly. "Artifact?" she repeated, instinctively scanning the area. Alex followed her gaze to a reinforced crate near the ship's entrance. It was marked with the emblem of the Interstellar Council, a symbol he recognized as one of authority and importance. "The Interstellar Council?" Alex whispered. "They want the artifact? That's serious business." "Yes," Lyra said, her voice calm but firm. "And if it falls into the wrong hands, the consequences could be catastrophic." Before they could react further, one of the figures raised their weapon. Sparks shot into the air as it discharged, narrowly missing a security drone. Panic erupted among the bystanders. Alex grabbed Lyra's hand and pulled her behind a stack of crates. "Looks like the universe decided to spice up our first date even more," he said with a tense grin. Lyra didn't respond immediately. Her mind was already racing, analyzing the situation. "We can't wait for the security forces to handle this," she said finally. "If they take the artifact, they'll escape before backup arrives. We need to act now." Alex raised an eyebrow. "You mean fight them?" "Not exactly," Lyra said, a spark of determination in her eyes. "We need strategy, and fast." They crouched behind the crates, observing the intruders. The leader appeared to be coordinating them with hand signals, moving with precise efficiency. Alex noticed a small panel near the base of the ship. It looked like a control interface for the cargo hold. "I have an idea," Alex whispered. "We distract them. You get to the panel and secure the artifact. Quick and clean." Lyra studied him for a moment, then nodded. "All right, let's do this." Alex stepped out, waving his hands and shouting, "Hey, over here!" The armored figures turned toward him, momentarily confused by his boldness. "Now!" Lyra shouted, sprinting toward the control panel. Her movements were smooth, calculated, every step precise. She reached the panel and began typing in a sequence of commands, overriding the ship's locks and activating the containment protocol for the artifact. Alex ducked behind a crate as a few intruders ran toward him, firing weapons. Sparks flew, and the sound of metal against metal echoed through the bay. He threw a nearby crate toward them, creating a makeshift barrier. His heart pounded, but a grin spread across his face. This is insane but exhilarating. Meanwhile, Lyra's fingers danced across the panel. The artifact's containment field shimmered, then locked down completely. The intruder's leader realized what was happening and barked orders, but it was too late. "Got it!" Lyra yelled, grabbing the crate with the artifact inside. She sprinted toward Alex, weaving between the intruders. Alex grabbed her hand, pulling her toward a service tunnel. "Nice work," he said breathlessly. "You're officially a hero in my book," Lyra smirked. "Don't get too emotional. We still have to get out alive." They ran through the narrow tunnels of the spaceport, dodging security drones and alarms. Outside, the night sky glimmered with the lights of departing ships. But they didn't stop. Their focus was survival, and the artifact they now carried safely between them. After several tense minutes, they emerged into a secluded docking area. Alex leaned against a wall, panting. Lyra placed the crate down, checking the containment field one last time. "You did well," Alex said, his voice a mix of admiration and relief. "Seriously, I didn't think we'd make it." Lyra shrugged, though there was a faint smile on her lips. "Neither did I. But we did." A silence fell between them, heavy but not uncomfortable. It was a silence filled with shared understanding, the knowledge that they had faced danger together and survived. Alex broke the silence with a grin. "So, marriage promise still stands?" Lyra laughed softly. "You mean after dodging armed intruders and saving the day?" "Yes. After all that," Alex said, his tone half joking, half serious. "If we survive this, we deserve to see if the joke works in real life." Lyra shook her head, but the smile didn't leave her face. "You're ridiculous," she said. "And you love it," Alex replied. They shared a laugh, but the sound was cut short by a distant rumble. A freighter engine roared in the distance, clearly not friendly. Alex's heart sank. "Looks like our first date isn't over yet." Lyra nodded, already moving toward the hatch of a small cargo ship nearby. "We need to get this artifact somewhere safe. And fast." As they boarded the ship, Alex felt a surge of excitement mixed with apprehension. This was no ordinary first date. It was a mission, a test of courage, and an adventure that neither of them would forget. Lyra piloted the ship with precise skill, navigating through the docking area and into the open expanse of space. Alex watched her work, impressed by her focus and determination. He realized that she wasn't just intelligent and brave, she was reliable, resourceful, and unafraid of danger. "You're amazing at this," he said, leaning back in the co-pilot seat. Lyra didn't look at him, her eyes on the stars ahead. "We need to focus. The rogue group might be tracking us. If they catch us in open space, it could be disastrous." Alex nodded, though he couldn't hide the thrill in his chest. "This is exactly why I love the universe." He glanced at Lyra again. "And maybe, just maybe, why I'm starting to care about her." Hours passed as they navigated through asteroid fields and evaded patrol ships. The tension was constant. But so was the camaraderie between them. They shared small jokes, exchanged stories, and slowly, the teasing from their first encounter returned, weaving through the serious mission like a thread of light. By the time they reached a hidden outpost on a neutral moon, the stars outside the viewport were calm, serene, and almost peaceful. They had survived. They had succeeded. Alex looked at Lyra, the artifact secure between them, and said softly, "You know, I think we make a pretty good team." Lyra finally looked at him, her eyes soft but firm. "Yes," she said. "We do. But don't let it go to your head." Alex laughed. "No promises." For a brief moment, as the moon's soft glow bathed the cockpit, everything felt right. The danger, the chaos, the unpredictability, it all led to this. Two people, thrown together by fate, laughing in the face of the universe. And for Alex, that fleeting peace made one thing clear. This was more than a first date. It was the start of something extraordinary. The small cargo ship glided silently through the expanse of space, the stars stretching endlessly in every direction. Alex sat in the co-pilot seat, his fingers drumming lightly on the console. Lyra, calm and focused, piloted the ship with precision, her eyes scanning the readings on multiple monitors. "This outpost is safe," she said, breaking the silence. "At least for now." "Nobody knows we're here." Alex leaned back, letting out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. "Safe enough to finally catch my breath." Lyra glanced at him, a small smirk forming. "You've got a strange way of relaxing after nearly getting shot." "Thrills keep me alive," Alex said with a grin. "And, well, you've got to admit, surviving a first date in a spaceport under attack isn't exactly normal." Lyra laughed softly. "Normal is boring." She turned back to the controls, guiding the ship toward the shadowed side of a nearby moon. The outpost they were approaching was a small cluster of metallic structures, camouflaged to blend with the rocky terrain. It was a perfect place to rest, plan, and most importantly keep the artifact safe. As they landed, the ship's engines humming low, Alex stretched and looked out the viewport. "You've piloted through asteroid fields, dodged patrol ships, and handled rogue attackers. I'd say you're officially amazing." Lyra arched an eyebrow. "I'm just careful. You, on the other hand, have a talent for making danger look fun." "Fun and necessary," Alex replied with a wink. "Somebody's got to balance the brains with the bravado." They stepped out of the ship, their boots crunching on the rocky surface. The moon's low gravity made each movement feel lighter, almost playful. Alex glanced around. "This place is quiet, peaceful, almost too peaceful." "Exactly," Lyra said. "That's why it's perfect. We need time to plan our next move. Whoever attacked the port will likely track the artifact. We need an advantage." They moved to the main structure of the outpost, a reinforced building with holographic panels displaying star maps and planetary systems. Lyra placed the artifact on a secure table, its soft blue glow illuminating the room. Alex leaned closer. "What exactly is this thing?" "It's called the Luminar Core," Lyra explained, "an ancient device, capable of incredible energy manipulation. If it falls into the wrong hands, entire colonies could be destroyed. That's why the Interstellar Council entrusted it to the spaceport." Alex whistled softly. "So yeah, definitely worth getting attacked for." "Exactly," Lyra said. "And now it's on us to keep it safe." They spent the next few hours planning. Holographic maps displayed possible enemy routes, patrol patterns, and potential hideouts. Alex noticed how methodical Lyra was, every detail considered, every contingency accounted for. He admired her focus, realizing that bravery alone wasn't enough to survive the galaxy. Intelligence, strategy, and courage combined were what kept people alive. As they worked, the stars outside began to shift subtly. A nebula was nearby, its clouds of glowing gas creating a surreal mix of purple and green light. Alex pressed his hand against the viewport. Fascinated. "Beautiful, isn't it?" he said quietly. Lyra joined him, her gaze following his. "The universe is full of wonders," she said softly. Alex nodded, a thoughtful expression on his face. "Sounds like us." Lyra glanced at him, a hint of a smile on her lips. "I suppose it does." Suddenly, the outpost's sensors beeped urgently. A series of blips appeared on the holographic display, fast-moving ships approaching their location. Alex's stomach dropped. "Space raiders," Lyra said, her tone calm but firm. "They're not part of the Interstellar Council. They want the artifact." Alex's grin returned, tinged with excitement and tension. "Always," Lyra replied, moving to the controls. The outpost's defenses activated automatically, energy barriers shimmering to life around the perimeter. Alex grabbed a sidearm from the wall rack, checking its charge. The raiders were fast, their ships maneuvering skillfully through the nebula, trying to avoid detection. "They're not just fast, they're smart," Alex muttered, watching the displays. Lyra nodded. "We need to stay unpredictable. They're expecting a straight fight. We won't give them that." As the raiders closed in, the nebula's gases swirled around them, creating pockets of shadows and light. Alex and Lyra used the terrain to their advantage, guiding their ship and the artifact through twisting routes and narrow passes. Sparks flew as enemy ships fired, narrowly missing their hull. "Hold on!" Alex shouted, gripping the console. Lyra's hands moved deftly over the controls. "I've got this. Trust me." Minutes felt like hours as they navigated the deadly nebula. Alex kept track of every movement, ready to assist whenever needed. At one point, a ship flanked them from behind, and Alex fired a precise shot, disabling its thrusters. Lyra smiled briefly. "Nice shot." Alex grinned. "Thanks. You handle the impossible, I handle the improbable." Together, they maneuvered through the nebula until the raiders were forced to retreat, their ships damaged and scattered. The artifact remained secure, and the outpost intact. For a moment, relief washed over them both. Alex leaned back, exhaling deeply. "We make a good team." Lyra nodded, her expression softening. "We do. But this is only the beginning. Whoever sent those raiders will regroup. We need to find a permanent safe location for the artifact, and fast." Alex glanced at her, noticing the subtle determination in her eyes. "You're incredible," he said quietly. "I've met a lot of people, but you're something else." Lyra looked at him, her amber eyes meeting his. "And you're reckless," she replied. "But maybe that's not always a bad thing." For the first time, they shared a quiet moment, the adrenaline of the chase fading. Outside, the nebula glowed softly, painting the cockpit with colors neither of them could have imagined. It was a reminder that even in the most dangerous parts of the universe, beauty existed, and sometimes it was worth fighting for. Suddenly, a faint signal pinged on the sensors. Lyra leaned forward, analyzing the data. "It's faint, but there's an old space station nearby. Abandoned. Hidden. Could be perfect for hiding the artifact." Quote. Alex's eyes lit up. "Then that's our next stop. Adventure awaits, right?" "Adventure awaits," Lyra agreed, a hint of excitement in her voice. As they set course for the hidden station, the stars stretched endlessly before them. Alex couldn't help but glance at Lyra, a mix of admiration and something deeper stirring inside him. This mission, this journey, it had brought them together, tested them, and somehow made them stronger. Hours passed in tense preparation and careful navigation. They reached the abandoned station, a massive structure floating silently among the stars. Dust and debris swirled around its hull, evidence of years without maintenance. But to Alex and Lyra, it was a sanctuary, a place to regroup and plan their next moves. Inside, the station was dark and quiet. They moved cautiously, placing the artifact in a secure chamber they had reinforced with energy shields. Alex watched as Lyra double-checked the containment protocols, her precision meticulous. "You're really thorough," he said softly. "Thorough keeps people alive," she replied simply. Alex smiled, realizing that she wasn't just skilled, she was extraordinary. And as he watched her work, he felt a growing certainty that surviving the stars wasn't about luck alone. It was about courage, intelligence, and trust. And now, sitting together in the quiet of the abandoned station, Alex knew they had all three. For the first time, he allowed himself to feel a little hope, not just for the mission, but for the promise he had made earlier. That reckless joke of a first-date marriage suddenly didn't seem so impossible. The universe was vast and dangerous, yes, but with Lyra by his side, Alex felt ready for anything. And as they prepared to rest before the next stage of their journey, both of them knew the adventure was far from over. The stars awaited, full of mystery, danger, and perhaps a future they had only just begun to imagine. The abandoned space station drifted silently in the darkness, a relic of a bygone era. Its metal walls creaked under the pressure of the vacuum outside, and faint lights flickered along the corridors. For Alex and Lyra, it was a temporary refuge, a place to rest, plan, and regain their strength after the recent attacks. Alex leaned against a railing, staring out of a large viewport at the stars beyond. The nebula they had passed earlier painted the darkness with purples, blues, and greens, a serene contrast to the chaos of their mission. He let out a slow breath. "It's beautiful," he murmured. "Even in the middle of danger, The universe has moments like this. Lyra stepped beside him, her hands resting lightly on the railing. Beauty and danger often exist side by side, she said softly. That's what makes it worth noticing. Alex turned to look at her, the dim light highlighting the strength and intelligence in her face. You know, he began, hesitating for a moment. I've been thinking about that promise I made. The joke about marrying on our first date. Lyra's eyes met his, and a faint smile tugged at her lips. I remember, she said quietly. You've been thinking about it? Alex nodded, feeling a little foolish. I didn't think I would, honestly. But surviving all this, seeing how brave and clever you are, it makes me wonder if it was just a joke at all. Lyra's smile widened, warm and teasing. Careful, Alex. You're treading dangerous territory. I know, he said with a grin. But maybe it's worth the risk. Before they could dwell on the conversation, the station's sensors beeped urgently. A cluster of enemy ships appeared on the monitors, moving quickly through nearby space. Alex and Lyra exchanged a glance. These weren't patrol ships. These were determined attackers, closing in on their hidden location. We've been found, Lyra said, her voice calm but tense. We need a plan. Fast. Alex straightened, ready for action. Let's see. We could fight, we could hide, or we could trick them. I vote for trick. Lyra raised an eyebrow. Explain. Alex pointed to a series of old cargo pods and escape shuttles scattered around the station. We make it look like the artifact is still in the main chamber. Then we use one of these shuttles to sneak out and lose them in the nebula. Lyra considered it for a moment. Risky, but effective. Let's do it. Working together, they carefully moved the artifact to a reinforced container and left decoy signals in the main chamber. Alex rigged a small energy pulse to mimic the artifact's signature, while Lyra set the station's old defense systems to activate if anyone entered. Hours passed in tense preparation, their hands brushing occasionally as they worked side by side. Alex felt a strange warmth growing inside him, something beyond admiration, beyond friendship. The bond they had formed during their shared dangers had grown stronger, more personal. Finally, the decoy was ready. Lyra piloted a small shuttle out of the station, Alex beside her, their hearts pounding as enemy ships approached. The nebula stretched before them, clouds of gas twisting and turning like living shadows. Hold on tight, Lyra said, her eyes focused on the controls. Alex grinned. Always do. The enemy ships followed the decoy signal, their sensors locked on the artifact's false location. Alex and Lyra maneuvered through the nebula with precision, using the dense gas clouds to mask their escape. One by one, the attackers were forced to slow down, their ships struggling in the shifting currents of the nebula. After several tense hours, the enemy ships gave up, retreating into open space. Alex let out a relieved laugh. We did it. They actually fell for it. Lyra allowed herself a small smile. For now, she said. They'll regroup. But at least we bought ourselves some time. As the shuttle drifted in a quiet pocket of space, Alex turned to Lyra. The words he had been holding back, finally finding their courage. Lyra. About that promise. I wasn't joking. I think I really want to see if we can make it real. Lyra's eyes widened slightly, then softened. You mean marriage? Alex nodded, heart pounding. I know it sounds crazy. We've faced raiders, space battles, and near-death situations in less than 2 days. But being with you, it feels right. Even in the chaos, I want to try this us. Lyra studied him, her expression unreadable for a moment. Then she smiled, a mixture of warmth and challenge. I'll hold you to it, she said, echoing her earlier words, but this time with seriousness. Alex felt a rush of joy. So, that means yes? Maybe, Lyra replied teasingly, though the sincerity in her voice was clear. But only if you can keep up with me in the next adventure. Alex laughed, feeling lighter than he had in days. I wouldn't have it any other way. They shared a brief, quiet moment together, the stars outside their shuttle twinkling like distant promises. But the peace was short-lived. Sensors beeped again, this time a faint signal from deep within the nebula. Lyra leaned over the controls, analyzing the data. It's weak, but it's familiar. The rogue faction that attacked Nova Prime. They're still looking for the artifact. Alex frowned. So even our clever trick wasn't enough? Lyra shook her head. No, but it bought us time. Enough to reach a safer location. I know a hidden planet, uncharted and isolated. We can rest there, reinforce the artifact, and plan our next move. Then that's where we go, Alex said, determination in his voice. Together, as the shuttle navigated through the nebula, Alex and Lyra talked quietly, sharing stories of past adventures and dreams for the future. The bond between them deepened with each passing hour. Alex realized that surviving the stars wasn't just about bravery or skill, it was about trust, teamwork, and the quiet moments of understanding between two people. By the time they reached the hidden planet, night had fallen across the nebula. The planet's surface glowed faintly with bioluminescent plants, casting a soft light over the rocky terrain. Alex stepped out of the shuttle, taking a deep breath of the cool, fresh air. This place is incredible, he said, marveling at the beauty around them. Lyra smiled, walking beside him. It's perfect for hiding the artifact. They secured the artifact in a reinforced chamber within a natural cave, the walls glowing faintly from the planet's unique minerals. Alex admired the way Lyra moved calm, confident. Every action, precise and purposeful. Sitting together near the entrance of the cave, Alex felt a rare sense of peace. You know, he said softly, I never thought a first date could be like this. Adventure, danger, and moments like this. Lyra glanced at him, her expression gentle. Sometimes, the universe surprises you. And sometimes, it gives you exactly what you need. Alex looked at her, realizing that this journey, the danger, the excitement, the constant threat, had brought them closer than he ever imagined. I'm glad it brought me to you, he said quietly. Lyra smiled, her hand brushing lightly against his. And I'm glad I met you, Alex, even if you are reckless and ridiculous. They laughed softly, the sound echoing through the quiet cave. For the first time in days, they allowed themselves to relax, to enjoy the moment, and to simply be together. Alex felt a quiet certainty growing inside him. The universe was vast, dangerous, and unpredictable. But with Lyra by his side, he felt ready for anything. And perhaps, just perhaps, the promise he had made on their very first date wasn't so impossible after all. As they settled in for the night, the stars outside the cave twinkled, distant and bright. The universe awaited, full of challenges, wonders, and adventures yet to come. And for Alex and Lyra, it held the promise of something extraordinary, a bond forged in danger, strengthened by trust, and destined to grow. And somewhere deep in the cosmos, the rogue faction plotted their next move, unaware that the two unlikely heroes they pursued were not just surviving, they were thriving. Alex glanced at Lyra, a soft smile on his face. You know, he said, I think this adventure might just be the beginning of everything. Lyra looked at him, her eyes reflecting the glow of the bioluminescent plants. And we'll face it together, she said firmly. Alex nodded, feeling a surge of hope and determination. Together, they had survived attacks, navigated the stars, and kept the artifact safe. Together, they would face whatever the universe threw at them next. And for the first time, Alex truly believed that even in the vast, dangerous cosmos, love, trust, and courage could conquer anything. The hidden planet lay quiet under a sky filled with stars, its bioluminescent plants casting an ethereal glow over the rocky terrain. For Alex and Lyra, the night had been short but restful. They had reinforced the artifact's chamber and set up monitoring systems to alert them to any intruders. Yet, even in this relative peace, the universe was restless. Alex stared out of the cave entrance, scanning the horizon. You know, he said quietly, I have a feeling this quiet isn't going to last long. Lyra, checking the artifact's containment fields, didn't look up. You're right. That rogue faction won't stop until they get it. They're persistent and ruthless. Alex grinned, the familiar thrill of adventure returning. Then I guess it's a good thing we make a great team. Lyra finally looked at him, her eyes reflecting both amusement and trust. Yes, we do. Hours later, a faint signal pinged on their sensors. The rogue faction had tracked them to the hidden planet. Alex and Lyra exchanged a glance, no words were needed. This was it. The final confrontation. We have to be smart, Lyra said, her voice calm but determined. They'll try a direct assault first. We can't let them get the artifact. Alex checked their small arsenal. We won't. I've got a few surprises of my own. As the first ships appeared on the horizon, sleek and menacing, Alex and Lyra activated the planet's defense systems. Energy barriers shimmered across strategic points, and automated turrets emerged from hidden alcoves in the terrain. The rogue faction's ships fired, but the defenses held strong. Impressive, Alex said, glancing at Lyra. You really know how to make a place defensible, Lyra smirked. It's called preparation. The battle began in earnest. Ships swooped down, attempting to land troops near the artifact chamber. Alex and Lyra moved quickly, coordinating their defenses and using the terrain to their advantage. Alex's quick reflexes and daring tactics complemented Lyra's careful planning and precision. As one group of attackers breached the outer perimeter, Alex fired from a concealed position, disabling their transport. Lyra directed the automated turrets, striking enemy ships before they could regroup. They're smart, Alex said, panting. But not smart enough. Lyra nodded, her eyes scanning the battlefield. Stay sharp. They'll try something unpredictable next. Sure enough, the rogue faction's leader, a tall figure in black armor, with glowing blue accents, emerged from a transport shuttle. He carried a small device, likely meant to hack the artifact's containment field. Alex felt a surge of tension. We can't let him reach the artifact, he said. Determination blazing in his eyes. Lyra grabbed his arm. We won't. Together, they sprinted toward the chamber, weaving between enemy soldiers and energy blasts. Alex tackled one attacker, while Lyra disabled another with precise shots from a small energy pistol. Their movements were fluid, synchronized two halves of a perfect team. Finally, the rogue leader reached the chamber door. Alex lunged forward, grappling with him as the device nearly touched the containment panel. Sparks flew, and alarms blared. Lyra fired a well-aimed shot, hitting the device and sending it spinning into the floor. The containment field stabilized, glowing brighter than before. The rogue leader growled and tried to push past Alex, but Alex held firm, using every ounce of strength and determination. Not today, he said through gritted teeth. Lyra joined the struggle, and together they forced the intruder back. The remaining attackers, seeing their leader defeated, hesitated. Alex and Lyra took advantage, pushing them toward the exit as the planet's defenses reactivated, sweeping the battlefield with precise energy pulses. In minutes, the rogue faction had retreated, their ships fleeing into the void of space. The artifact was safe. Alex and Lyra stood panting, looking at each other with exhilaration and relief. We did it, Alex said, a grin spreading across his face. We actually did it. Lyra allowed herself a small smile. For now, she said softly, but we have proven one thing: we can face anything together. Alex's heart swelled as he looked at her. This journey, this mission, had brought them closer than he ever imagined. The bond they had formed was unbreakable, forged in the fires of danger and trust. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small, simple ring, a keepsake he had carried since the first moment they joked about marriage. Lyra, he began, his voice steady despite the racing of his heart. I made a promise on our very first date. A joke at the time. But now I realize it was real. I want to keep that promise. Will you marry me? Lyra blinked, surprise and warmth mingling in her eyes. For a moment, she didn't speak, only looked at him, the blue glow of the artifact reflecting in her amber eyes. Then she smiled a radiant, genuine smile. Yes, she said softly. I will. I've been holding you to that promise. After all, Alex felt a surge of joy and relief. He slipped the ring onto her finger, their hands brushing. For a moment, the chaos of the universe faded, leaving only them and the quiet strength of their bond. Looks like the first date promise wasn't a joke after all, Alex said, grinning. Lyra laughed softly. No, it wasn't. And I think we make a good team, both in adventure and this. As they stood together, holding hands and watching the stars, the universe seemed to breathe around them. The danger had passed, but their journey was far from over. They had survived attacks, outsmarted enemies, and faced the vast unknown, and through it all, they had each other. Alex looked at Lyra, feeling a deep sense of pride and admiration. You know, he said quietly, I've met a lot of people in my travels, but none like you. You're brave, smart, and extraordinary. Lyra's gaze softened. And you're reckless, daring, and completely impossible. But somehow, you make the impossible work. They laughed together, the sound echoing across the cave and into the night. For the first time, Alex felt a complete sense of contentment, not because the adventure was over, adventure never truly ends, but because they had faced it together, side by side. In the following days, they fortified the hidden planet further, ensuring the artifact was secure and monitored. Alex and Lyra shared stories of past missions, laughed at their narrow escapes, and planned future adventures. Their partnership, once forged in chaos, now had a foundation of trust, respect, and love. One evening, as they watched a meteor shower streak across the sky, Alex turned to Lyra. Do you ever think about what comes next? Always, Lyra replied, her hand brushing his. But I know one thing, we face it together, no matter what the universe throws at us. Alex nodded, feeling a warmth spread through him. He realized that this was more than adventure or survival. This was legacy. The story of two humans who dared to face the stars, who dared to trust each other, and who dared to love amidst the chaos. As the first light of the planet's sun began to rise, casting a soft glow across the horizon, Alex and Lyra stood hand in hand, ready for whatever came next. The universe was vast, full of mysteries and dangers yet unseen. But together, they were unstoppable, and in that quiet moment, surrounded by the beauty of a hidden world, Alex whispered, "Thank you for trusting me, for holding me to the promise, for everything." Lyra smiled, leaning her head against his shoulder. "And thank you for daring to make the promise in the first place." The stars above twinkled as if in agreement. The artifact was safe, the rogue faction defeated, and a new chapter had begun not just for the universe, but for the two humans who had faced it together. Their story was a reminder that courage, love, and trust could overcome even the most impossible odds. And as they prepared to explore the cosmos once more, Alex and Lyra knew one thing for certain. The adventure of a lifetime had only just begun. And this time, they would face it as partners in every sense. For the first time, Alex felt truly at home, not in a place, not on a planet, not in a starship, but in the bond they had built. And the universe, with all its dangers and wonders, felt a little smaller, a little brighter, and infinitely more promising. The stars awaited, and so did their next adventure.